Hello everyone, welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I'm Kim.
And it's part 2 today of our Amazing Journeys article, Migrating Animals.
Wow.
Now yesterday we learned about zebras, right? Zebras who migrate across Africa, following the seasons and following the fresh grass that they love to eat. I think with zebras we could throw in like wildebeest, those big kind of cow-like animals that live wild in Africa, and of course many type of antelope and gazelles,
buffaloes,
and things like buffalo, that's right,
like
water
that.
buffalo. And of course as those animals migrate, I suppose the lions and leopards that eat them, they have to kind of migrate too.
Where are you going?
Right?
Come
yeah,
back.
if your supermarket goes away, you have to follow the supermarket. So that's another way that these animals migrate. And of course, whales. I think killer whales, they also migrate. I know that around Vancouver, tourists like to go out on boats to see them. But if you go at the wrong time of year, you might not see them because they're hundreds of miles away and they won't be back for a few months. So it's interesting how humans and animals, as they migrate, can kind of interact. Today, we're going to be learning about a couple of interesting ones. One I find absolutely fascinating, the monarch butterfly.
Oh, they're very pretty butterflies too. Yeah.
I remember watching a show about these guys a few years ago, and my friend we were both amazed at the story of the monarch butterfly.
Now I'm interested.
Well, yeah, we'll be finding out about that. And what was the other one? The bar-tailed godwit.
I have no idea what that is.
No. I think from the name, it's a bird. There's a lot of weird named birds out
why?
there. I don't know. That's because probably there's so many kinds of birds.
They all get very strange names like ruby-throated hummus, bar-tailed
Godwit. I guess they ran out of good names like robin and duck.
They're just opening a
So
dictionary
they
and
just
picking
had to make things up.
words.
But anyways, the bar-tailed godwit is an amazing animal that migrates too. So we'll find out all about that and also some humans who migrate. So yeah, that's going to come up at the end of the article. Let's check it out right now.
How do migrating animals navigate? Some use the lay of the land, the angle of the sun, or even star positions. Others, such as salmon, find their destinations by using Earth's magnetic field. Bar-tailed godwits navigate in this manner to make one of the longest journeys on record. These birds reproduce in Alaska and then migrate south to New Zealand. They travel over 11,600 kilometers across the Pacific Ocean on an uninterrupted 8-day flight.
All right, so the million-dollar question here is one that we're about to answer in our next part, and it says, how do migrating animals navigate? Good question, because as we said before, you're in Canada, you're going to Mexico, how are you going to get there without a GPS? I would
Get on
get
a bus.
lost. You could do that.
But if you're a bird,
You can't do that.
You can't do that, exactly. So yeah, how do they find their way across hundreds of kilometers without following street signs or using GPS or asking for directions? How do these animals do it?
Well, it says some use the lay of the land,
I've heard of that.
the angle of the sun,
Really?
or even star positions.
Get out of here.
Whoa. Others, such as salmon, find their destinations by using Earth's magnetic field.
Okay, so kind of like how we would use a compass that points to the north. These animals can do it, but just by using their bodies. That's quite incredible. Following the sun and the stars. Well, that's how sailors, used to find their way around the Earth, humans, for hundreds and thousands of years. And yeah, I've seen something. Pigeons are famous for being able to find their way home. I think at the University of Oxford, they did a study, and they discovered pigeons follow roads.
Ooh.
They're just kind of like people with a map. They follow a road, they see a church, they know you turn right there. So yeah, it's kind of like humans would do it, but some of it is also pretty incredible. Let's look at one incredible navigator, bar-tailed godwits, a type of bird. Bar-tailed godwits navigate in this manner to make one of the longest journeys on record. Interesting. They have a lot of frequent flyer points, I guess, because they're birds. Anyways, they navigate in this manner. Here, when we talk about manners or in a manner, we're not talking about manners, like having good manners, saying please and thank you and chewing your food with your mouth closed. Those are good manners. No, here, manner means in this way. We're talking about a different way or a style or a fashion of doing something. If you do something in a certain manner, you do it in that way, following that plan or following that style or something like that. You might have a very friendly manner of speaking. You might have a very athletic manner of walking. You walk like an athlete, or if you're dragging your feet, that's kind of a tired manner of walking, right? This is the way it looks, the way you're doing something. For example, Rosie's manner of speaking is quite similar to her mother's.
Oh, so when her and her mother answer the phone, you can't tell who it is.
Exactly.
Right?
They both have the same kind of voice. They speak in the same way. They say words the same way. They do this, speak in the same way, in the same manner.
All right, well, these birds, these, what are they called?
Bar-tailed godwits. Yes.
These birds reproduce in Alaska and then migrate south to New Zealand. They travel over...
Excuse me, what? What?
Yeah, right?
What? New Zealand?
Alaska, which is all the way up in America, well,
right.
between America and Canada.
Yes, yes.
And then they're going all the way down the Pacific.
To the other side of the Pacific.
And ending up in New Zealand.
That's incredible.
That is incredible.
That would be like a 19-hour plane trip.
That's...
And they do it with their little wings.
They're flapping like this the whole
incredible.
time.
Wow, okay, that is probably, the longest migration I've ever heard of.
Right.
How far is that migration exactly?
Well, they
in
travel...
kilometers, please.
Oh, sorry, in kilometers. They travel over 11,600 kilometers across the Pacific Ocean on an uninterrupted 8-day flight.
What? Are you serious? This isn't what?
Well, where are they going to stop? I mean, they're
That's
in the
a good
Pacific.
point.
Maybe they can stop off in Hawaii, have some drinks, and then continue.
Right. Fiji, a little stopover in Fiji or
Guam.
Tahiti or somewhere like that. That's
Wow.
incredible, because if it's an uninterrupted flight, it's not like they're flying, over Russia and they take a break and then they go through Korea, down through Japan and Taiwan and stop here for a day. No, they just say, all right, we're leaving, and then fly for 8 days without stopping or resting or even maybe touching anything on the ground, just flying. Because if you do something uninterrupted, you do it with no interruptions, with no breaks. You don't take a rest. You don't say, okay, give me 5, or okay, let's meet back here tomorrow, or let's come back after lunch. No, you do it without a break. All right, for example, I try to get at least 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep at night. Well, yeah, that's good, right? If you sleep for 3 hours and then wake up and sleep for another 2 hours and then wake up, that's not uninterrupted sleep, and that's not as good as uninterrupted sleep. Walking uninterrupted for 7 hours, your legs would be super tired. These guys fly for 8 days across the ocean. They're not stopping to eat or drink probably either, right?
No, that gives a lot of meaning to the joke. Man, I just flew into Taiwan and boy, are my arms tired.
That is incredible. All right, well, we'll take a break while we still think about these brave little flyers, the bar-tailed godwits. They need a better name. I think
we should rename them.
They deserve a better name than that.
8-day flyers.
We'll be back. I like that one. We'll be back with more about another amazing migrator. Migrator? I guess we could use that.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。今天的课文介绍了动物迁徙的原因。那我们接着要来了解动物是如何找到正确的行进方向。课文写到说，有些动物是利用地形、太阳的角度，甚至星星的位置；那有些则是利用地球磁场找到目的地。Bar-tailed godwits 斑尾鹬就是以这种方式来找到方向。它们在阿拉斯加繁殖，然后往南迁徙到纽西兰。很不可思议的是，它们不间断的飞行8天8夜，然后穿越太平洋，行进距离有超过11600公里。我们来看2个单字 manner 它可以指态度举止，可是在课文里面是指方式方法。In this manner 就是表达以这种方式。再来看 uninterrupted uninterrupted， 它是形容不中断的、不间断的，它就是由否定字首 un 表示不，然后加上 interrupt 打断它的过去分词组合在一起。那补充一下 ，interrupt 它的名词是 interruption， 也是表达这个打断、中断的意思。再来看到课文里面呢，写到 magnetic field， 它表示磁场，其中的 magnetic 就是形容磁的、有磁性的。那这时候 Mike 老师就提到 compass，compass，compass 就是罗盘或是指南针。介华课文中。
Monarch butterflies aren't strangers to the road either. Each autumn, more than 100 million of the butterflies head south from Canada, which is part of their summer breeding grounds. Their journey to Mexico and back covers over 8,000 kilometers. The distance is so long that it takes the butterflies several generations to complete the entire journey. The females lay eggs along the way, and the next generation continues the migration. Last, we have snowbirds. The word snowbirds here doesn't refer to the animal, but rather elderly Canadians who each year escape the cold northern weather to spend their winter enjoying the warm temperatures of Florida, USA. Maybe humans and animals aren't so different after all.
All right, we are back with more amazing animal migrations. Next, we turn our attention to the famous monarch butterfly. Yes, the monarch butterfly. This is actually a butterfly you often see in a book. When they have a picture of a butterfly, it often looks like a monarch butterfly. They're kind of orange. They have black dots on their wings. So you've probably seen pictures of these butterflies and think, yeah, it's just a butterfly. Well, this is not your average butterfly, my friend. It says monarch butterflies aren't strangers to the road either. If you're a stranger to the road, you don't travel very much. Someone who isn't a stranger to the road probably travels a lot, likes to travel, knows all about traveling, and can handle traveling long distances like the monarch butterfly. How far do these guys go? It says each autumn, so in the fall, at the end of the summer, each autumn more than 100 million of the butterflies head south from Canada, which is part of their summer breeding ground. So Canada in the summer is warm. The butterflies are quite happy to be there in Ontario, I think Manitoba, places in kind of central Canada. And then as the weather gets colder, they travel south. It says
their journey to Mexico and back covers over 8,000 kilometers.
So 4,000 there, 4,000 back. Okay, that's a long journey.
The distance is so long that it takes the butterflies several generations to complete the entire journey. That's a long journey.
Several generations.
Generations.
So your grandparents left Canada and the great-great-grandchildren come to Mexico and then they find their way back.
And the great-grandchildren are like, why am I in Mexico? Exactly. What's time to go back?
How do I know where I'm going? That's the question.
Wow, the females lay eggs along the way and the next generation continues the migration.
How do they know? How do they know where they're going?
And also it kind of seems weird, like your great-grandparents left Canada, but they don't make it to Mexico.
Right.
And then their great-grandchildren come back from Mexico.
Right.
But they don't make it to Canada.
Right.
It's just strange.
They just die on the road, basically.
But what's the point of migrating? Just stay where you are, butterflies.
That's a good, I guess so. But it's just, how do they know? How do the females pass this knowledge down to their children as they reproduce? Because yes, of course, when we talk about a female, we're talking about a woman or a girl or something like that. Yes, you are a female, I am a male. This is kind of a scientific term, and we would talk about a female animal. Often we use it as an adjective, a female cat, a female dog, that kind of thing. But basically, if you're the type of animal of that species that can have babies or something, you are probably the female of that type of animal. But again, we wouldn't use this to talk about people.
No.
Not really, unless it's in kind of a science or maybe a police kind of way. Two females were arrested for, robbing a bank. That means two women, but we would use the word female in a more sort of scientific or some kind of way. But don't say, hey, it's nice to meet you. You're a lovely female. That would be a weird thing to say. Let's get back to the example sentence. You can tell eagles apart by their size. Females are larger than males. Eagles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that. I know a lot of insects, right? The female insect can be larger than the male, but in birds, that's
in birds.
a little bit less common.
Well, it says last
Yes.
we have snowbirds.
All right.
The word snowbirds here doesn't refer to the animal, but rather elderly Canadians who each year escape the cold northern weather to spend their winter enjoying the warm temperatures of Florida, USA.
That's right. Snowbirds come down, I guess, every fall.
Yes.
Right? Stay in America, in the warm places of America like Florida. And then in the summer, I suppose they go back to Canada.
Yes.
And spend the summers there, like the butterflies.
Of course.
Yeah,
but they're in
snowbirds.
airplanes and stuff.
Exactly.
Maybe humans and animals aren't so different after all.
It's true. I think this is like thousands and thousands of people, not just from Canada, but from the cold parts of America, up
Yes.
there in New York or somewhere like that. It's too cold. These are people who are retired. They've got a little holiday house down there in Florida. And every fall they come down, spend the warm winter months in Florida, and then they go back just like the animals do. But these are, of course, are generally elderly people, retired people, we might also call them, because if you're elderly, there's a good chance you're retired. Elderly being old. That's basically just a polite way of saying older or an old person, an elderly person. It's kind of nicer to say that.
Yeah,
right?
you're old.
Your
No.
grandparents would probably prefer
You're
it if you
elderly.
called them elderly rather than old. For example, an elderly couple lives next door. They're probably grandparents or something like that.
That's right. And these people go down to Florida to escape.
Winter!
To escape is to quickly get away from something. Now, maybe that thing is dangerous, so you don't want to be near it.
Possibly.
Or maybe it's just you don't like it.
Bad.
You don't like the cold, so you
You're
try
gonna
to escape.
Escape from a boring party.
Run!
Oh, get out of here. Save yourself.
So it's a little more urgent than just leaving somewhere. You're trying to get away from something quickly.
Yeah, something that you don't want to be in or near.
Yes, so Bernice moved to the countryside to escape the stress of city life. It was behind her, like, I'm the city, and she just escaped it.
Interesting. Well, that's a
countryside.
good thing. It's not a place she wants to be. So there you go, guys. What do you think? Here's our question. What is the most surprising fact about animal migration and why?
The most surprising fact is that those,
Monarch butterflies.
No.
Bar-tailed godwits.
there we go, that they can fly for 8 days, because who can do something for 8 days straight?
Right? And they
Except
can
watch Netflix.
And they somehow fly across the biggest ocean in the world.
It's amazing.
Could you get across that ocean in a boat in 8 days?
Probably not. I imagine you have to stop
I don't
at least
think,
once.
unless it was a very special boat or you got very lucky with wind or something like that. That is absolutely incredible. I'm going to have to find out more about the bar-tailed godwits, because they are probably the world's greatest animal migration story. Well, there you go. We've had a few interesting ones for you. There's many more out there, so find yourself a good nature documentary, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot more about this fascinating topic. Until then, keep your GPS close. We'll see you back here sometime soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
另一个不可思议的生物是 monarch butterflies 帝王斑蝶。每年秋天呢，会有超过1亿只的帝王斑蝶从加拿大前往南方。那他们往返墨西哥这个旅程啊，就超过了8000公里耶。这段路程非常长，以至于帝王斑蝶它们需要好几个世代才能完成这整趟旅程。雌蝶就是母的蝶，就会在途中产卵，然后下一代继续迁徙。好，我们来看单字 female。female 表示雌性生物或者是女性，那么 male 则是表达雄性男性。那我们最后课文呢有介绍雪鸟族 snowbirds 这个字不是一种动物哦，而是指每年逃离冰冷北方天气，然后逃到气候温暖的美国佛罗里达州过冬的加拿大长者。这样听起来，人似乎也跟动物一样会迁徙耶。好，看了这2天的课文，同学们如果对动物迁徙有兴趣，你可以去找一些纪录片来看哦。那我们顺便学一下纪录片的英文是 documentary， 就是在 document 后面加上 ARY 构成这个名词。那么课文单字 elderly 它表示年长的，上了年纪的。那么 escape 它是指逃跑、逃离，在这边当动词。好，那这里5个重点，我们进入文法时间。 好，我们来看第一个重点是 so 加上形容词或副词加上 that 子句，可以表达如此怎么样，以至于怎么样，非常怎么样，结果怎么样。那这个句型就是去强调 so 后面的形容词或副词，说明说它的程度很高，高到造成某个结果了。那么 that 子句就是用来讲结果，例如 The book was so interesting that I couldn't stop reading it。那本书非常有趣，以至于我读到欲罢不能。第二个重点是 it takes某人或某事物点点点加上不定词的句型来表达说某人或某事物啊，他花了多少时间来做某事，而虚主词 it 就是去代替后面的不定词 to be。例如 It took her 2 years to get over the breakup。她花了2年的时间才从分手中恢复过来。第三个重点是副词 rather， 它可以用来更正前面的叙述，去表达更确切的说是怎么样，而是怎么样。它常常会接在某个否定陈述之后，像是我们可以用 not 点点点 but rather 点点点来表达。例如 What matters is not what he did but rather why he did it。 重要的不是他做了什么，而是他为什么会这么做。第四个重点 refer to 可以表达指的是什么什么，跟什么什么有关。举例来说 The word loam refers to a type of soil that is good for growing plants。 Loam 这个单字指的是一种适合种植植物的土壤。那其实 loam 的中文就是壤土的意思啦。好，那第五个重点是 spend， 它是表达花费，像是花费时间、花费金钱。那么这个动词常常会以人当主词，用法就是主词 spend 加上金钱或时间，加上动名词，或者是接 on 加名词。例如 Jessie spends a lot of money on shoes。Jessie 她花了很多钱买鞋子。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
How do migrating animals navigate? Some use the lay of the land, the angle of the sun, or even star positions. Others, such as salmon, find their destinations by using Earth's magnetic field. Bar-tailed godwits navigate in this manner to make one of the longest journeys on record. These birds reproduce in Alaska and then migrate south to New Zealand. They travel over 11,600 kilometers across the Pacific Ocean on an uninterrupted 8-day flight. Monarch butterflies aren't strangers to the road either. Each autumn, more than 100 million of the butterflies head south from Canada, which is part of their summer breeding grounds. Their journey to Mexico and back covers over 8,000 kilometers. The distance is so long that it takes the butterflies several generations to complete the entire journey. The females lay eggs along the way, and the next generation continues the migration. Last, we have snowbirds. The word snowbirds here doesn't refer to the animal, but rather elderly Canadians who each year escape the cold northern weather to spend their winter enjoying the warm temperatures of Florida, USA. Maybe humans and animals aren't so different after all.
Welcome to Dong Damen Night Market. One of the things we are going to try today is French Coffin Toast. Let's check it out. French Coffin Toast? Oh, what a horrible name. Actually, Taiwanese people don't like talking about death. So why the word coffin? Let me explain what coffin toast is first. It's a bit like French toast, but the bread is hollowed out and stuffed with fillings such as chicken, vegetables, and seafood. Then it's covered with bread again. It's sort of a dark joke that the filling is the body and the bread is the coffin. That's why we call it coffin toast. Hualien's coffin toast is different from Tainan's in name, fillings, and recipe. In Chinese, 棺材 and 棺材 sound the same, but the meanings are totally different. The first 棺材板 in Tainan meant coffin, but the shop owner in Hualien used another Chinese word with the same tone, which changed its meaning to get promoted and make a fortune. Hualien's French coffin toast is a deep-fried toast with various fillings inside, while Tainan's coffin toast is normal toast with creamy soup inside. Each has its pros and cons. What a yummy idea! I can't wait to give these a try. They look good, but I'm sure they taste even better. There are 4 types: seafood, spicy, non-spicy, and sweet. Each type has 5 different kinds of fillings. I can't wait to give these a try. I'm gonna start with this one first. Smoked chicken. The meat is extremely soft, quite tasty. This shop has another really good specialty I want to show you. Ta-da! This is pineapple and shrimp, okay? And I've heard it's out of this world. The taste is very sweet and refreshing. I give both of these a big thumbs up. Put French coffin toast on your foodie bucket list. This is worth the whole trip to Dongdamen Night Market.
See you next time!